Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we're diving into a genuinely terrifying, but honestly kind of fascinating hypothetical scenario. What exactly would happen to an everyday person, to you or me, if Earth suddenly lost all of its oxygen for just 5 seconds? We literally never think about the air we breathe, right? But as we're going to see, if you take it away, the world around us would unravel in a matter of seconds. So I want you to picture this. You're just walking down the street. It's a totally normal sunny day. You've got your coffee, maybe you're listening to some music, and then suddenly, for 5 brief seconds, every ounce of oxygen simply vanishes. There's no massive explosion, no warning sirens going off. The very first thing you'd notice is just this eerie, unsettling silence. Part 1. The silent disappearance. Let's actually map out this timeline, because it is terrifyingly fast. At 0 seconds, you're just on your normal walk. By second 1, the physical environment radically alters. By second 3, the human-built world around you starts systematically failing. And then, by second 5, the oxygen comes back, but to a fundamentally changed planet. Let's break down exactly what you'd be experiencing at each of these wild milestones. Which brings us to part 2. The sky goes dark. Okay. During that very first second, before your brain even registers that you aren't breathing, that bright blue sky overhead, it suddenly fades to a much darker, almost twilight color. And if you happen to be standing in direct sunlight, the danger is immediate. Without oxygen acting as our atmospheric shield, you'd get these instant, horrific sunburns as raw solar radiation just blasts your exposed skin. That protective layer that scatters the sun's light is just gone. So you're trying to process the sudden darkness above, maybe comprehending the sudden stinging on your skin, and then you notice that eerie silence on the roads we talked about earlier, and that prompts a really terrifying question. Why has all the traffic in your city suddenly come to a dead halt? Moving to part 3, the concrete collapsed. Here's the thing. Without oxygen, the combustion process instantly fails. Fire literally cannot burn. So that means every single combustion engine in every car on your street just stalls out instantly. Traffic completely stops. But it gets so much worse. If you were to look up at that dark sky, any airplanes currently in flight would suddenly lose cabin pressure, and their engines would fail at the exact same time as the cars on the ground. But you wouldn't even have time to panic over the stalled engines or the dark sky, because you'd suddenly start to feel and hear this deep, terrifying rumbling all around you. The city's concrete buildings would actually start cracking apart right before your eyes. See, the crucial point here is that oxygen isn't just for breathing. It's actually a hidden foundational part of cement itself. It acts as this essential chemical binding component that holds it all together. Without it, the concrete structures of your city lose all their physical integrity and instantly crumble into dust. Literally, the sidewalks beneath your feet and the huge skyscrapers above you would simply collapse. Part 4. Global chaos ensues. Now think about the air pressure. The sudden disappearance of oxygen means roughly 21% of our atmospheric pressure simply vanishes in an instant. You'd feel an intense biological impact right away. This sudden, severe pressure drop creates shock waves that could literally cause your eardrums to explode from the internal trauma. Just imagine an incredibly painful, disorienting experience right in the middle of a collapsing city. But here is a really fascinating contrast. Luckily for you and me, humans can easily survive 5 seconds without taking a breath of air. You could literally just hold your breath. But the vast majority of everything built around us, our infrastructure, our transportation, the very concrete we build with, it absolutely cannot survive this structural and environmental failure. The human body? Sure, it can wait 5 seconds. Human civilization? Not so much. Which leads us to part 5, our invisible lifeline. As those agonizing 5 seconds finally come to an end, the Earth would glow again as the oxygen miraculously returns. You can finally take a breath. But when the dust settles on the ruined, crumbled cities and the completely halted transportation systems, millions of survivors would wake up to a deeply terrifying realization. Yeah, we survived the lack of air in our lungs, but the sheer fragility of modern civilization has just been exposed. Everything we built was instantly dismantled in just 5 seconds. And I think this brings us to the core truth of this whole scenario. Sometimes the most important things are the ones we never see. Our entire existence, from the buildings we work in to the cars we drive, depends entirely on this invisible lifeline that we basically take for granted every single day. Which leaves us with a final thought to ponder today. If just 5 seconds without this entirely unseen element can cause such massive global chaos, collapsing buildings, and just completely halting society, what other invisible forces holding our world together are we completely blind to? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and remember to keep questioning the world around you.